What if I told you that everything you thought about being rich in America might be completely wrong? That those Instagram trips to Europe, the shiny new Teslas, the vacations, and even the flashy houses, none of it tells the real story? Right now, you might think you're doing fine financially, maybe even ahead of most people your age. But what if I told you that, according to real numbers, you could actually be in a completely different wealth tier than you think, and discovering it could change everything about how you handle money? The truth about American wealth isn't just surprising, it's shocking, and it's going to completely reshape your perspective if you stick with me. I'm Ryan, and I help people see the real story behind money, wealth, and financial freedom. Today, we're going to dig into the exact numbers that separate the lower, middle, and upper classes in America. Numbers that most people never even think to check. Some of them might make you feel surprisingly good about your finances, while others might hit you like a bucket of cold water. Either way, if you understand these numbers, you'll know exactly where you stand and what it really takes to move up. When you imagine someone wealthy, what comes to mind? Maybe it's a mansion, a garage full of luxury cars, and the freedom to buy anything without checking the bank. Maybe it's that neighbor who seems untouchable. Fancy vacations every year, no visible financial stress, life looking effortless. But here's the part almost nobody gets. Real wealth in America looks nothing like that. Social media, movies, and years of cultural myths have given us a warped image of what rich really is. And the numbers? They tell a story that will surprise you more than you might expect. Think about it. If you wanted to get in shape, wouldn't you want to know the average person's weight, their workout habits, and how far you have to go to reach your goal? If you wanted better grades, wouldn't it help to see where you actually stand compared to the rest of the class? Money works the exact same way. Until you know where you are, you're basically guessing, throwing darts in the dark, and hoping something sticks. But once you see the numbers, everything changes. You can make deliberate moves, rather than just hoping to stumble into success. Here's something that might shock you. The median net worth of American households reached $192,900 in 2022. That's a 37% increase from 2019, the biggest jump in over 3 decades of tracking. Sounds promising, right? But here's the twist that most people completely miss. While the median sits at around $193,000, the average net worth is $1.06 million, more than 5 times higher. Imagine half the population is under 5 feet 6 inches tall, but the average height is 8 feet. It doesn't make sense unless a tiny group is pulling the numbers way up. That tiny group, the richest Americans, the top 1%, hold nearly 32% of all wealth in the country. Picture a party of 100 people. Just 3 of them own almost a third of everything: the pizza, the drinks, the dessert. That's exactly how wealth works in America, and it creates very real financial tiers. Where you land on this ladder determines the lifestyle you can afford, the opportunities for your children, and even how secure your future can be. If your net worth is between $0 and $16,900, you're in the lower class, often called the poverty tier. The median net worth here is just $6,000. That's less than many people spend on a single vacation or a decent used car. But don't assume that everyone here is stuck forever. A recent college grad with student loans may start here, but climb fast. Someone else may be dealing with unexpected medical bills, divorce, or layoffs. Life can change fast, but what defines this tier is the financial reality. Living paycheck to paycheck, no emergency fund, and often relying on high-interest loans when unexpected costs appear. Moving up slightly, the lower middle class covers net worth from $16,900 to $43,000, with a median of $61,260. Skilled workers, service employees, and technical professionals often land here. They may own modest homes, contribute to retirement plans, and maintain a small financial cushion. But they're still extremely vulnerable. One medical emergency, car repair, or job loss could throw everything off balance. Many earn too much to qualify for government help, but not enough to feel truly secure. It's a delicate place to be, and every decision matters. Then comes the traditional middle class, with net worth between $58,550 and $169,420, and a median of $145,200. This is what most Americans picture as financial stability. steady jobs, some retirement savings, home ownership, and the ability to handle small crises without panic. But there's a spectrum here too. Someone at the lower end might still feel financial pressure, while someone closer to the top can invest, save aggressively, and steadily build wealth. What unites them is the freedom to plan ahead. They're no longer just surviving. They're making deliberate choices to grow. Above that, we enter the upper middle class, sometimes called the mass affluent. This group has net worth between $500,000 and $2 million. Many are what financial planners call Henrys, high earners, not rich yet. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, and senior professionals earning $140,000 plus annually often land here. They live in good neighborhoods, max out retirement accounts, and begin to feel financially comfortable. But there's a catch. Lifestyle inflation sneaks in. A starter apartment becomes a house. A used car becomes a luxury SUV. That occasional night out becomes twice a week. Income grows, but expenses grow just as fast. Much of their wealth is tied up in real estate and investments, which offers long-term growth and tax advantages. But they also face unique pressures: higher taxes, no government safety nets, and full responsibility for funding retirement. Even when earning six figures, the illusion of wealth can feel fragile unless you understand how to leverage your assets strategically. Then comes the upper class, starting around $2.65 million. Between $2.65 million and $5.8 million, people enjoy genuine financial comfort, luxury homes, travel, freedom from stress over everyday expenses. But most are still working, budgeting, and making deliberate financial decisions. It's not just about how much you have, it's how you manage it. The top 1% begins roughly between $5.8 million and $12 million, depending on the source. Here, your money earns more than most people make in a year. Your investments alone could support multiple households comfortably. And then there's the top 0.1%, around $62 million or more. These are founders, heirs, and elite investors operating in a completely different world: private equity, venture capital, hedge funds, and deals most people will never even hear about. The differences between tiers escalate fast. Hundreds of thousands separate middle from upper middle class, millions separate upper class from the top 1%, and tens of millions separate the top 1% from the ultra-rich. That's why someone with $5 million can feel poor next to someone with $50 million. Wealth is deeply relative, and perspective changes everything. Location also dramatically shifts the ladder. What counts as upper class in Jackson, Tennessee, might only get you into the middle class in San Francisco. In Connecticut, earning over $1 million annually puts you in the top 1%. In West Virginia, it's closer to $416,000. A $2 million net worth could buy a mansion in the Midwest, but barely cover a condo in Manhattan. Location is an often overlooked secret weapon in financial strategy, allowing some people to live far better with less. Here's the most critical insight: these wealth categories aren't permanent. People move up and down constantly. And the difference between stagnation and growth often comes down to one simple lesson: understanding the gap between looking wealthy and being wealthy. Social media has made wealth a performance. People finance cars they can't afford, overextend on houses, and swipe credit cards to flex online. Meanwhile, real wealth quietly compounds behind the scenes. Take Warren Buffett. He still lives in the house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. Today it's worth around $650,000, which is nothing compared to his $100+ billion fortune. He could buy a mansion every day and barely notice. The point isn't to live like Buffett, it's to grasp opportunity cost. Every purchase is money that could have grown. Real wealth isn't loud, it quietly multiplies over time. So now you know the real US wealth ladder. Lower class around $6,000, middle class around $145,000, upper middle $500,000 to $2 million, upper class $2.65 million plus, top 1% $5.8 million to $12 million, top 0.1% $62 million plus. These numbers aren't destiny, they're snapshots. Where you are today doesn't define where you can go. Wealth is built through clarity, discipline, and strategy. If this breakdown has given you perspective and maybe a little shock, hit subscribe And check out my next video on the biggest money mistakes keeping people trapped in the wrong wealth class. Stick around, because the next insights might just change your financial future forever.